explain it is I write these words down. How, and then I put here why. How, why, where, what, and when. Because it's an expression we use in English. How, why, where, what, and when. It covers every dimension. Now, the reason I start like this is it fits very well. It fits very well into this thought of the Viljelysuunnitelma. And when I speak about how to begin with, we have to decide what is this Viljelysuunnitelma. And we have these things. I'm going to try and write this in Finnish. Tavan on. Is that right? Then we've got IP. Does anybody know what IP is? Integrated production. Integroitu viljely. Then we have normal. Then we have biodynamic. And then I do a little line here. And underneath this we have permaculture. Permaculture. Forget all this permaculture. Zero cultivation. Zero cultivation. And then underneath I like to be a bit silly. But it's kind of true. It's kind of true. I draw a line here because this is a sort of recognized commercial growing. These are still productive enough. If you think that production goes in that, production goes in that direction, and ympäristöystävällisyys goes in this direction. So it's quite an interesting subject. And it belongs to how we're going to plan this Viljelysuunnitelma. Now, Green City Farm, I am very much in this area, right? Heidi is very much in this area. And thank goodness, well, this is like creeping in. But I will do my best when I'm replaced to like, stay down, boys, stay down. Because it gets very confusing. And then it gets too ideological and not really practical anymore. And the people who tend to be very interested in this tend to be more ideological. The more up we go this way. Now, IP production, the integrated, is for me the most interesting one. Because it's the combination of the things that work in normal, replacing some of the things in ordinary production that don't work or that are bad for the environment. Now, Saarioinen, for example, when Saarioinen had this sopimusviljely, had these contract growers. Saarioinen is a big Finnish food producing company. They had contract growers, and they decided to go for integrated production. It's mostly centered around the use of chemical sprays, how we use, when we use, and when we don't use, and chemical fertilizers. But anyway, this is the first subject, and this basically answers this question. Green City Farm, very much in this area. And it's the best area to be in for small scale. If we were talking about large scale food production, we're definitely in this area, because profit would be the question. Okay, so now we have started our Viljelysuunnitelma, knowing that it's a biodynamic, normal production. The next question now is where. For Green City Farm, it's very simple. We have the field here already, right? But for a farmer, we have all the EU questions of location. And we mustn't ignore these things. It's a monitored system, our agricultural system, and at the beginning of the Viljelysuunnitelma, if we get, for example, EU tuki, we should have the Viljelynen EU location number, and it has a name, and so it would be the name of the farm, the name of the village, Hyvinkä, Nitty Seppälä, Hyvinkä, and then the number of the field and the name of the field. That would be on the Viljelysuunnitelma. This is where we begin to think, so where it's a kind of immediate location of the crop. Immediate location of the crop. And it's also important because you can't just say that I'm going to grow lawn, you want to know where, and then that place where you're going to grow the lawn, or going to grow it, has to be suitable for the production. You know, you want to know that this field is good for potatoes, carrots, onions, so it's that field is going to be in that video. We won't go too much into that, but where is number 2 in the location, is the location. For Green City Farm, like I say, it's very simple, but in Green City Farm we actually divide our field into 6 or 7 areas. Each of those areas has its own growing plan. It's lohko, viljelylohko suomeksi. Viljelylohko. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F lohko. It's also where, the subdivision. The next question is what? And this is where we really, before we start the plan, how do we know what we are going to grow? And for what reasons are we going to grow it? I mean, where do you begin with that thought? I sometimes show a list of all the things you could grow, like 70 or 80 different vegetables and fruit and berries, and how many of those things you can grow. The answer to the question, the first answer to that question is market. So you're actually doing your marketing, of course, before you do the Viljelysuunnitelma. And then is the marketing, is it to industry? Is it to supermarket? Is it to kesätorimyynti? Is it to suoramyynti? Is it for your own restaurant or kitchen? You have to have, this is all part of the suunnitelma, because it's not only what, but that will then tell you how much. Is it 40 kilos of pork-ana carrot, 20, 30, 40? So we get here into the marketing question, and the marketing and quality question of the final product. Now, if I am producing, say, Swede, lanto, for market, for market, we want to have lanto like this size. If I'm producing lanto for industry, to make this lantulaatikko, I want lanto that size. So it will be in the Viljelysuunnitelma, at the beginning, in the introduction, there will be like a marketing or harvesting plan of what we are going to grow and how much we are going to grow. And only then, when we have how and why, and where, and what, then is the plant. And this all has to be written down. It all has to be written down. When you've done it for many years in the same place, of course, the first bit's all in the head. But when you're beginning, and I would like to see some of you, at the end of this course, actually, and I will help you do it, if I'm around, I'll help you to actually produce a sort of Viljelysuunnitelma for your own sort of dream farm, or your own practical production. Maybe you for the restaurant, for example, for your own restaurant. Maybe you for some hobby or some interest that you have. Right? And maybe also for like kitchen or something. So that you are shown that you understand the different parts of growth. We've got marketing and location. Now, the big question that we come to is this. I can start by writing two things here to try to get you to understand. I'm going to write here. Rosucali is Brussels sprout. Do you have those? Yes, definitely. So I know in California they grow a lot of Brussels sprouts. Salad. Could just use those two. Rosucali. So now, presuming that we have sold Rosucali, or we know we want Rosucali in the autumn, and now we're going to start to do the plan, the growing plan. We're going to have to understand the crops that we've chosen to grow. We have to understand a lot about those crops. And the first thing you have to understand is the time it takes to grow them. Onions, carrots, kukkaali, parsikaali, broccoli, all those things. It's all slightly different. And it will depend on when you plant them, will depend on when you harvest them, of course. It's logical. But you've got to get that in your mind, that if I make a deal, and it happens, people don't, like, they want Rosucali in July, for 120 days, 4 months. You go back from July 4 months, and where do you come? You come to March, April, May, June, you come to March. You can't grow Rosucali, you can't plant Rosucali in Finland in March. The earliest I could plant, say, Brussels sprouts, Rosucali, would be in beginning of May. So say halfway through May, June, July, August, September is the earliest you're going to get good main crop Brussels sprouts in Finland. So I would start marketing the Brussels sprouts in beginning of September and end when it's too cold in the end of October or something. It's quite simple. Salads, it's very complicated. Because if I plant, wrote it down here so I get it right. So, salad here, it's one and a half months, is the quickest I can get it, 1.5 months. So if I plant salad in May, early May, after the frost, it's May, goes to June, July. This is planting. And this is harvesting. So May, June, goes to July, August, and then July goes to August, September. So can you see that Rosucali is totally different to salad? If I want to grow Rosucali, I plant it, and after 4 months I start to harvest it, and it comes ready bit by bit. I plant it once. Salad, I have to plant them at least 3 times to make sure that I get harvest from June to September. After September, it's getting too cold. Now, it's not quite this simple because something like a salad, in spring, the day is long and it's warm. It grows very quickly. In autumn, it's cold, it's darker, a little bit frost, they grow very slow, and the light is going down. They grow very slowly. So you have to understand this in a Viljelysuunnitelma. The season is actually changing. Summer's very hot like this. The way we play with that is we actually play with varieties. So we're choosing now what we're going to grow, and then we're subdividing it into ligate. See, when you go in the shop and you say, I'm going to grow salad this summer, and you go to the salad counter, there can be like 20 or 30 different types of salad. And then there's say, jäävuorisalati, neljä eri like, different varieties. So you have this, it's all part of how we're thinking. We choose a variety for spring, a variety for autumn, maybe a variety for winter that grows better, for late autumn that grows better. Varieties are very important in our Viljelysuunnitelma. It's not just kuukkakali, plant it then, harvest it then. It's kuukkakali 1, 2 varieties, kuukkakali 2, maybe 2 varieties, like this, divide it up. A very good example of this is keräkaali. We have all heard of, no maybe you haven't, talvikaali, syyskaali ja varhaiskaali. Ja ne on niin erilaisia. Kesäkaali on varhaiskaali. Se ei it doesn't need 60, 70, 80 days to grow. But it doesn't really stop growing. It carries on growing and it all bursts and splits. We plant that early, we harvest it early, and you get varhais, early cabbages around Juhannus, beginning July. Then you move to syyskaali. Syyskaali takes 70, maybe up 90 days to grow. And it stays better in the field. It doesn't split. It slows down like in August, end of August, September, and it stays really nice, but it doesn't store. Then we have talvikaali type varastokaali, storage cabbage, which is winter cabbage, that takes maybe 120 days, like ruusukaali. And that then can be put in store also after it growing. Very waxy, heavy, thick leaves. And that will keep until January, February, March. So it's a very good example of how we split up in our growing plan different crops. Carrots is a very good example. Summer carrot, autumn carrots, winter carrots. This is all part of our plan. Right? Varieties. Right. Question then. I must mention herbs before we go, because we grow a lot of herbs in Green City Farm. Herbs are naturally, most herbs are naturally perennials. Who knows what the word perennial means here? Perennial, yes. Monivuotinen. So you don't actually, it would have its own Viljelysuunnitelma, because, and things like rhubarb, parsa is asparagus, rhubarb, herbs, they would have that separate, because you're not planting them every year. In southern Europe, this is fine, but in Finland, perennial herbs won't last over the majority, or then they go so woody that we don't have that fine, tender young leaf. So we tend to grow herbs in Finland as yksivuotinen, or annuals, not perennials. And I'm a strong believer in this. People tell me that, oh, you don't need to do that, Stephen, they last over winter. But you need to grow a lot of them and try, and it's much easier to grow them every year new, and you get that lovely fresh young summer type herb rather than the woody older stems that happens in Finland very easily, if they survive at all. So that is a question. The next question, try not to confuse you, but I have to go through everything. The next question is, I write it in Finnish, because I need to practice. Taimet versus suora kylvö. You will see today, you will go to our greenhouse and you will see our plant production. Taimet, it means plants, right? And suora kylvö means directly the seed in the land. And most things, it's like really clear. I mean, we don't grow carrot plants. You can't grow carrot plants, well you can, but they won't be very good. The root just goes straight down and it doesn't want to be in a pot for one day, really. And it's unnecessary and they germinate very well. Peas, some people grow pea plants, but they can be beans. Beans is difficult. Every plant you have to go through. What is the best solution? Do we grow a plant in a greenhouse? Esikas, it's called esikasvatettu, pre-grown in a greenhouse, esikasvatettu, or do we do direct sowing in the field? And you have to know in your plan which is going to be directly sown and which is going to be sown as plant, because of course you need greenhouse, you need trays, you need peat, you need all the things, you need heating. The advantage with plants is that you can start earlier. I can start to grow plants in the end of March, beginning of April, when I can make the greenhouse warm without it being too expensive. So by the time the field is ready, I've already got the plant is already 4 weeks old. So if you think a salad plant can grow in 40 or 50 days, and I've already grown them 25, 30 days before I plant them, it's going to make that much quicker. So I can actually get salads really early in middle of June if I start to grow the plants like in end of April. So that's the advantage of plant growing. It's very expensive, plant growing, because I need to build a greenhouse. Many people wouldn't grow salads or cauliflowers or because they have to grow plants. And it's very difficult and very expensive. So a lot of growers only stick with the things that they can do with machines in the field, suora kylvö. But most of the things, and everything we grow on Green City Farm, or say 80% of what we grow, has to be esikasvatettu as taimet. It has many advantages. It makes, when you sow a seed directly in the field, as it germinates, it immediately starts having problems. It's very, very small. Insects come, other weeds come, it's very dry, it's very hot, etc. It really struggles. If you already grow it to like a adolescence, like a teenager size, and then plant it in the field, it's already halfway there. It's got roots already, it's got quite big leaves, it's quite strong. Very important in Finland actually, where the season is short, and it's a huge advantage, even though it's expensive. So this is also in our Viljelysuunnitelma. So now I have basically told you the information that Viljelysuunnitelma needs in this list here. And when, now we say, when we get to the when, we actually will start to do our plan. And I have to give an example here.